How does equity dilution impact startups taking VC funding? Imagine building a business from scratch and watching your ownership shrink with each new round of funding. That's what happens with equity dilution. When startups seek venture capital funding, they often issue new shares to investors. This process reduces the percentage of the company owned by the founders and early shareholders. For example, if you start with 100% ownership and issue 50 new shares to investors, your ownership drops to about 66%. If you keep raising more money, your ownership can fall below half. This can seem like losing control, but it's also a way to grow faster. Venture capital funding provides the cash needed for product development, hiring, and expanding into new markets. As the company grows, its overall value often increases. So even if your ownership percentage shrinks, the actual worth of your stake can grow. Think of it like owning a small piece of a very valuable pie. The slice might be smaller, but the pie itself is much bigger. Founders need to be careful about dilution because it can affect decision-making power. When you own less of the company, your voting rights may decrease, making it harder to steer the company's future. To manage this, founders often negotiate terms with investors. They might ask for certain rights like seats on the board or specific voting powers. Many startups also create employee stock option pools to attract talented team members. These pools are shares set aside for employees, which can cause additional dilution when they are granted or converted into actual shares. Instruments like convertible notes and simple agreements for future equity are also common. These are promises to convert into shares later, which can dilute ownership when they do convert. For entrepreneurs without traditional degrees, understanding this process is key. It's a trade-off. Give up some ownership to access the capital needed to grow. If the startup succeeds, the smaller ownership can still be very valuable. Managing dilution wisely means focusing on building value, negotiating well, and keeping enough control. This way, founders can benefit from their company's growth while maintaining influence over its direction. In the end, equity dilution is part of the journey to scale a business. It's about balancing ownership with the resources to succeed and knowing how to protect your interests along the way.